So, okay, so we will start off with, some of you had the chance to explore with Seesaw. You became a Seesaw pioneer, or you just had the chance to explore. What are some of the questions out there right now that you feel comfortable asking before we get started? Any problems you had, or when you maneuvered around Seesaw, you weren't for sure?
I have one. This is Trent.
Yeah.
So one of the questions we're trying to figure out is, so we have all of our grade level teachers. So let's say we have a third grade class. And so the question is, should we separate our music classes or make music a co-teacher? Which one would be the best way to go?
I've worked with districts that do it both ways. It's whatever the teachers feel most comfortable with. Some teachers, they don't want to have co-teachers in there, and they want to, have full control over their classroom, whereas other schools and teachers, they don't mind having co-teachers in their classroom. Because the great thing about this is you can, when you assign activities out there, you can assign it to certain students. And sometimes those music teachers, if they, if you do decide to have them join in on your class, if you don't have all of the students in music, she or he could just differentiate and send that activity out to those specific students. Holly, what have you seen?
Something to think about for you guys. The biggest thing is this, I think, in the big scheme, is one, anytime you're sharing your class with your student, is how well do you trust this other teacher in reality? Are they organized, and are they going to be able to keep their materials in their folder? And do you two or multiple people, do you have a working communicative relationship where you can decide on where the work goes? So that's the first thing. If you can kind of come up with just a conversation and say, yes, let's totally tag this together, we can do it, let's just create a music folder and all of your stuff will go into music, then I would highly suggest you to just do one class. If you have someone who's a little apprehensive for whatever reason, I would go ahead and do 2 classes. The biggest thing I'm thinking of is the blog option. So I know some of you from last week, it was discussed and talked about that either you have the option of sharing all student work, which sometimes, some of our kids are not there. Sally is posting something that is like college level and she's in 1st grade. And then, Brian's posting something that looks like a wall scribble from my 1-year-old. So, if everyone is posting, there's some issues there. But the workaround around that is that there is an option for blog that we hopefully will get into, because I love the blog. And the blog option allows you to share student work there, so all the kids can see the work, and it's kind of, you can pick and choose what you put there. If you have a music class and you want just a music blog, you won't be able to do that if you share a class. So if you're okay with having a shared blog, then that's fine too. But I think it's ultimately what you guys decide as a partnership, and that may differ between teams. Does that help answer it, Trent, a little bit?
Yes.
Thank you, Holly. And another thing to go along with that, some people might think that, the kids might have a hard time navigating between the classes. But again, if they just come up here to the top left of the screen, they can switch in between their Seesaw classrooms. So
we have a comment, Lisa.
Okay.
Platforms different, because if you have a kid in kindergarten, you have a kid in 4th grade, and already I'm trying to learn while you're trying to learn through the process. That having kids, especially young kindergarten, 1st grade kids, well, a lot of our kids don't have a lot of technology at home anyway, that they would struggle finding all of those different classes.
They're concerned if you separate out the classrooms that some of our younger students and parents could get overwhelmed trying to find everything, especially if you have an older child in on another platform like Google Classroom and a younger one in Seesaw, that they might be having two separate classrooms, might be a little overwhelming. So what I'm hearing is if you made them just keep one class with a co-teacher in it is what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
That's what, I mean, that's what we've been talking about, but I don't know, I would say it's too.
Lisa, can I comment on that?
Yeah, go for it.
So I have a 7-year-old daughter, so she's entering into 2nd grade. When I learned Seesaw, she was my go-to because I had no clue going back 2 weeks ago what Seesaw even was, just so you know. And I've become really, I love it, and she loves it. Like I said earlier, and I said earlier in another workshop, I think we all agree the first few weeks of school, our curriculum is going to be technology curriculum. And I think our admin probably all really well knows that. So Seesaw does have activities that help students, depending on grade level, navigate Seesaw. So it actually will provide assignments for kids to have them help navigate through the platform. My 7-year-old, when we have created multiple classrooms, it's muscle memory. She knows that part of that classroom is to go to that left folder. You are 100% right that it's going to be a lot of information at once. But I think at the same time with our littles, they're really good at technology, sometimes better than some of us as adults, because this is the platforms they're learning. So navigating between that square profile picture and Seesaw is heavy icon. So you have a square icon and then you have a circle. And when you switch between classes, you would communicate with your kids to click that square icon, and then you can change those icons for your classes and for your students. So I think that it's 100% manageable to create multiple classes. But if it's your first time using Seesaw and you feel really comfortable with your co-teacher, then absolutely go ahead and make one class. But it is manageable, and kids do learn that muscle memory that, okay, let's go to our music class, and they just go to the square and then they click down. So I don't know if that helps maybe a little bit for you, because it can be overwhelming, especially when you're learning all of it at once.
So do you have can you show the student view what a student would see if there were two classes?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa, you have that?
That may help them.
Yeah, and Trent, the other thing to remember as teachers, we're learning all of this back end stuff, how to add students, how to add parents, how to change settings, how to add assignments. The kids are not doing all of that. So, you know, it's not exactly the same for how we feel and maybe how they'll feel.
So very similar to, you know, what you saw for me. I guess I have Blake just in one class here, but if he had multiple classes, it would be right here. So let me just switch back to the teacher account. Do you see how it's exactly like that? He was a member of this Georgetown Ridge Farm classroom. And if he was a member of one of these other classes, it would be just like this. So he could switch back and forth to those classrooms.
There's no password.
So the question was, do they have to have a special code, or is that special code just for the first time to get in?
Just for the first time to get in. Once they're in the classroom. So kind of, you know, what Holly said, it's, you know, on our part, we're having to learn all of this a lot more than what the students have to learn.
Yeah. So I think that explains it.
Yeah. And, you know, each, you know, team of teachers or the PLC, it's a conversation. Just like what, as teachers, we're trying to give our students choices. As teachers, we have choices of how we want our Seesaw to look for the kids. So it's just a matter of taking time to explain it, and to how to maneuver, and, you know, where to go for different things. It's like Holly said, it just takes time in the beginning teaching technology. And, you know, whether it's kindergartners, second graders, eighth graders, whoever's using this, again, it takes time. It doesn't matter who they are. Some kids will pick up on it easier than others.
And you guys can change the icons. Lisa, if you click on your name, the square to the left, and then if you go to if you go to the settings, so the gear, oh, you were right there. Nope, the other settings, the gear in your name.
Oh, the gear.
So for some of you, some people call that a fidget spinner for the littles, that gear right there. If you call it a fidget spinner, the kids tend to know where the fidget spinner is. So go ahead and go to account settings and then scroll down and find icon. That icon for the class, it was right where your picture is, Lisa. Scroll up right there. You can change that picture. So if it's music class, you can actually upload a picture of a music note. If it's drawing, you can maybe put a palette. So, or a palette. So like I said, Seesaw is awesome because it is that icon rich and icon heavy. So for those littles that can't read, you can switch between classes by setting those icons for your kids.
I think the other thing too, this is Trent, the other thing right below that theme, you can, I think it's theme, you can change the color too.
Absolutely.
So you can have different colors representing different things too, so the teachers is separated by a color as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And right here, what Holly was talking about, this is your icon for your profile. So this, I could change my profile picture. If I went over here to the wrench, this is where I could change the icon for the class. So do you see the difference here? This is for class settings under the wrench. This, when I go to this gear, or Holly, what'd you call it? Oh, fidget spinner. This account setting is for your profile. So does that make sense? So then you can change different, you have some settings in here for notifications, since we're talking about this right here. For parent notifications, do you want to send them a notification once per day, or never, or all? Push notifications. So again, you've got some choices here. Some of you who are learning about Google Classroom as well, just like you can archive a Google Classroom, you can archive a Seesaw class as well. So that gives you a chance to go and take a look from year to year, what you pushed out. And then kind of, you know, talking along the same lines right here, this is where all the classes are. So you as a teacher, if you have multiple different classes, you can see, you can switch back and forth to them fairly easy. You can create a new class here. But once the kids are in the class, they're in there. You don't have to worry about giving them a code each and every time they log in. Another thing here, if you have a family account, if you have a son or daughter who's, you know, has a Seesaw account and you have a family account with the same account. So here's with my work account. If I have a family account with that, I can easily switch back and forth. So here's the family account that I have, and I can see what Blake is all doing in class. And then, whoops, if I switch back here, I can just go back and switch to the teacher account. So it's okay if you have a teacher account and a family account with the same Google account. That is fine. You don't have to worry about that. So did we get the questions answered, Trent? Or did we cause you guys out there to have more questions?
We have some more questions. I'm just gonna let you can come up and ask because it's easier.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, by the way.
I'm loud, so I got my teacher voice. I can get loud, but I'll let them come up.
Okay.
Can you delete an activity out of my library?
Yes. So I'll just go back to Georgetown class here. So out of your library here.
It's the marching ants when you get there.
Yeah, let me just go back.
Those 3 dots that are vertical, we always call it, always helps with the kids to call them marching ants because they look like little ants marching. And then when they go up and down, I've heard, Lisa, maybe you've heard others. I've heard red light or stoplight or a snowman. I don't know if you've heard other ones.
Yeah, I've heard those too. So right here in the activities, but she was wanting to know the library. That's what I wanted to get to, is my library. So here's the community part. If I go into my library, and that's what you asked, correct?
Yes, that's what she asked.
Okay. So even though I haven't assigned some activity, let's say, I guess I've assigned all of these. Let's just say I've created a new one here. And I hit save, and later on I want to delete that. All I would have to do then, what Holly was saying, is going to the 3 dots, she called them marching activities, go to delete activity if I'm in my library. If I was back on my activity page, same thing, 3 dots and hit delete activity. So let me go back to my library here. Here's my library of all of my assignments. Click on it and then click on the 3 dots. And that's where I can delete it. I can go back and edit it, share it, print it if I need to print it, copy or edit it, or add it to a collection. And a collection, how we kind of looked at collection, they're called collections, but it's just another way to organize your assignments here, your activities. So kind of similar to folders. So if I wanted to put this into a collection, I could just add it to a collection. So I could add it to introduction collection. If I don't have a collection here that I want to add it to, let's say I needed a collection of all of my science activities. I could come up here to the plus sign, type in science. If this was science, go ahead and hit create. And now I can put it in my science collection. So think of collections as like a folder. And this is where you can organize your activities by collection. Did that get your question answered?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, thanks. And Trent, did you say there's more questions?
Any more questions?
I actually.
Go ahead. It's okay to get up and ask questions.
And as they're coming up, Trent, again, you've got the slide deck here. Some of you, feel free, if these questions don't pertain to you right now, feel free to go look at the slide deck. I did put some other resources in here, some links here. And then if you scroll down, I added some more things that we didn't have in from a few weeks ago when we did this workshop.
I have a quick question. Well, probably not a quick question, but I have a question. I made an activity. I made a journal with different tabs, because in my head I was thinking they could click on, it would just be one journal. They could click on a tab for each subject. And it's in the template for the activity where they'll add their responses. Is there any way to add a Seesaw activity, either, one that I created or, one that I took from someone else? Can I add that to a page in my template? Does that make sense at all?
Can you say that question one more time? You're wanting?
I made a journal and I have tabs for each subject. And so the first page of the template is I want the lesson to be on. And then the second page is where they'll put, they'll do their work. But can I take a Seesaw activity from the library and put it on just like one of the template pages for them to do? Or does that have to be a separate activity all on its own?
So if I'm hearing you right.
I can answer to that, Lisa.
Okay, go for it, Holly.
I just totally stopped. So Okay, let me see, just so you can see me. You're talking about in the assignment when you have all the slides, like on the pages on the right side, is that correct?
Yes.
So where Lisa just was with an activity, when you click share, you can share that activity and it'll, Lisa, go to, I don't have my share screen. I'm just gonna
Here.
show you how you can get that link.
Here, I'll stop sharing. You go ahead and share, Holly.
Oh, okay. All right, let me show you. I know exactly because I was playing with this. All right, just give me 1 second and let me load it up, okay? I gotta get on my Seesaw. So app.
So as she's getting on her Seesaw, you're wanting to know.
Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So here I have my class, and this is my, if I'm just looking, it's just one of my demo classes that I did. So if I go to activities and I want to add this activity into an activity that I'm already creating, and I want to put this one and embed it into the other, what I'm going to do is go to my activity library, go to my library, click on the activity that I want to embed, and at the bottom, you're going to go to the marching ants, and you're going to go to share activity, and you can get the, if you get the teacher link or get activity embed code. If you want to share it with another teacher, you would just, it's literally a URL, but get the activity embed code, you would copy that code, and then let's see if this will work. When I go back to class, or rather my library, and I want to create a new activity, I think, Lisa, to get to that page with the, oh wait, let's see if, okay. So for the question, is this is where you were asking? Is this the page that it looks like? And then I think I can link. Okay, that, I have to get the link, so give me 1 second. Hold on, just bear with me. I have to
You're
get
doing
the
fine.
actual. Let's see, share activity. Let's see if this will work now this time. If there is a way of doing it, this is the way. Back to class.
Just go to your library.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Lisa. I had a brain.
So,
confusion
and
there.
I think this is good to show you that, hey, there's, anytime you're doing something, it's okay to, you know, it takes your brain a little bit to process. So do you see the difference there, what Holly did? She copied a link, the teacher link, and it let her put her in there. When she did the embed code, it wouldn't allow her because that white check mark in that green circle wasn't active. So anytime if that's not active, then you're doing something that Seesaw doesn't like, that you need to go back in and maybe go get the link instead of the embed code.
Thank you. That answered my question.
That did answer your question? Okay, perfect.
Something to mention, I know you guys were talking last time. We have some, I know there was a question about co-teachers and special ed teachers. Lisa, you can hear me okay? My feed's better this time?
Yeah, that's perfect.
something to be mindful of special ed programs, students with IEPs and 504 plans. If you are a special ed teacher and you are wanting to create a Seesaw class just for your special ed, the kids that are on your caseload, for example, say just for, they can post work there, you can talk to them through the weekend, you can email parents, you have a reason for wanting to do that. There is a way for privacy acts. So if you do not want your students, when you add students, I forgot that I was sharing my screen here, Lisa.
You're fine.
There's 3 different ways of adding students. One of the ways, when we go to add students down here, and I know you talked about this last time, when you add a student's name and they give you right here, when the student scans this code or you give them this code to copy, the whole reason for the QR code is if a kid is in class or you're mailing this home, they can just scan it with their phone or iPad. If you give them this code, when they link in, they're going to be able to see all of the other kids from your class. So that's just to be mindful that if the special ed teachers are creating just a class with kids that are in a special ed program, we don't want to either advertise that or we want to send a private code. And to send a private code, when you add a student, you're going to go to the branch. And when you go here under students, you can either add students with that QR code or the other code by manage students. If you want them to be able to go right in without selecting 1, the wrong name, which happens with the littles, or 2, you don't want them to see who else is in the class because you're setting the privacy that kids can't see other kids in the class, you would go ahead and click the home learning code. And then you would be able to print the code. And when you print this code, you can download it and email it. You can put it on the student's desk. This first page is for you. It's directions, which Seesaw is amazing. Or you can mail it home or put it in their folder to go home. So right here, Lily Kelly's home learning code. Instead of that other 5 or 6 digit, this is their personalized code that will get them right into your class without having them select their name from a list. Because if you have 2 Lilies, one Lily they may select the wrong Lily in class, and then you kind of have to go in and backtrack. So this is kind of one way as teachers to avoid that messiness, even with privacy, just with students not seeing 1, who's in classes, and 2, misselecting the wrong person. Does that help a little bit? I know you guys we started talking about adding classes, and I just wanted to mention that from the last video I had seen, if that helps some of you.
And Holly, this is Trent, and that personalized code, they also have that scan, I'm going to call it the QR scan bar down below. That is assigned to that large code.
Yes.
Right?
Yep, and that code is personalized. So that code and this code right here, both of the codes are personalized. So a student will not have to select their name from a list. Me personally, I would choose this option and print them. And then also if you're like, oh my goodness, I just had, these all print and I don't know who belongs to who, their name is right here at the top. And then this top page is literally just directions for the teacher as to how to do it. So it's just, like I said, it's just one of those tidbits that really helps us as teachers not have students pick the wrong name, especially for the littles. The littles may not do the best job with that.
Which, Holly, the question is, and for Lisa, both of you, is it best to do the home learning codes with all students or just the special education students?
That's preference. I like it with all, but that's just my preference as a teacher because like I said, Lisa, you can add in on this. When home learning codes came out, they came out during remote learning back in March, April. And when they did that, it automatically toggles that students cannot see other student work. So it kind of mirrors each other. When you send the non-individualized code, it does not set it as the automatic toggle to shut that sharing option off. It's enabled that kids can then see other student work. So they kind of mirror each other. That's preference for you as a teacher. It really is going to be, like I said, it depends. One, are you afraid that kids are going to select on the wrong name if you just send them home or you're doing it as a group? And two, just that privacy.
She's saying if someone you might be selecting something.
So if you use the other code, the one class code, if you're a student, then you got to, once you scan in, then you have to select your name is what I hear.
Yeah, do you guys want me to show you what that looks like?
Yeah, that would be nice. So we know what they're doing.
Yeah. So give me 1 second. Okay, so Lisa, are you okay with me showing this?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so let me see who's in this class so I can add someone that I don't have. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go the 3 places. You can either add a student here or you can add a student in the wrench by hitting add students. The 3rd place would be manage students. You can also add students there. If I click manage students, at the very bottom, it'll say add a student. So for ease, I'm going to add a student just on this main page. So I'm going to go ahead and click add students. I'm going to type in the name Ryan. And now here is his sheet that you can print or send home or email, download, or do the print student poster. This poster mainly is if you're in class, you would literally have the students take their devices up to the poster and scan it is the main reason. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy this code. I'm gonna click the copy, and then I'm gonna go to Ryan, his student account. And I am going to, he's already in this class, so let's see. How can I best do this?
One thing I will, while you're doing that,
Yeah.
one thing I will tell all of you before you leave, I need to make one announcement. So when we get done, I gotta make one announcement about their settings.
Okay, so did you guys see that? When I signed into Ryan, I had him added in another class. So I had to sign out of him to get him added into this new class. So, and that's, you only have to do that once. So each teacher, one of your tech blips is if you have a kid come to class and all of a sudden he logs into Seesaw, he may be logged, if it's a one-to-one device, he'll already be logged into Seesaw. So all you have to do is just click his name, the square icon in the left corner, click his name and just click sign out, and then it'll take you back to this page. And then here's the text code that was just from that other class. And when I click go, here are all the students in the class. So see now, Ryan is a kindergartner, and he's going ahead and he's gonna click his name, Ryan. With the other way, you don't have this. This screen, it will bypass it. So if I now click Ryan, I am now in this class. And I'm in demo class. Did that help at all?
Can you run through it one more time? Is that possible?
Yep, absolutely. So let's go back to me. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a student right down here. I'm gonna go ahead and change this code. I'm gonna go to Holly Kelly's class. So I'm gonna add Ryan to this class. So what I'm gonna do is click add students. I'm gonna add Ryan's name. And mind you, you can add other student information as well after in settings, which is this wrench up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and click the check button. And here is the universal code for the class. I'm gonna hit copy. And now I'm going to student view. So now in the interim, I'm going to either post this or I'm going to post this code to all the students. And now here as a teacher, I'm like, oh my goodness, why is the student already logged in when I haven't added him to the class? This is a different class. Maybe he just came from music and music has their own class. Ryan has to sign out. If it is his first time logging in, it'll automatically look like this. And he's going to always click, I'm a student. He's going to enter the code that's up on the whiteboard. And he's going to go ahead and click go. And now he has to click from another student list because I added him to a different class. And then once he clicks Ryan, are you sure you want to sign in? Yes, green means go. Remember, icon heavy. Green means go, red means stop. And now he's in this class. If you do not want them to have to select themselves from that list, you need to do it this way. Nope. Let's see. What is this? Extensions. You would have to do the get at home learning code, or you would go to the wrench. Some people that does not appear up there. If it's not there, you would go to the wrench and you would do at home learning code, print code or download. If you download, it'll almost look like an Excel file. Print codes. And then, here would be the QR code or this code. And I'm going to show you if you'd like. I'm going to highlight this automatic code to put in, and I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go back to Ryan. Okay, so now Ryan's signing into your class. So I'm a student. And now I enter this code, the personalized code. I hit go. And now he's automatically in that class. He doesn't have to select from that list. Does that help at all?
Does he have to put that code in every time?
No, that code is just to join the class. The student only does that code one time a year. Or if you have, if you have the same class all year from August to May, they would do it one time. The only time they add that code in is if you add another class or if it's a new semester and you add a new class. But yes, that's only one time. After that, you would be able to select here and see all the classes that I'm in as a student.
Child goes into another person's account, and they get into another account.
Holly, did you hear that?
I didn't, I'm sorry.
She said, what happens if a kid goes into another kid's account? Like if you have all the names showing and they pick someone else?
I think what you'd have to do is delete them out of the class. And then you would have to re-add them in the class. So it's not the biggest workaround. It's something that we can do. It's just within the first days of school. It's just another thing that you may have to do. But yeah, you would just have to delete them out of the class. And I believe, Lisa, I think that's in manage students.
Another child.
Right there, remove student from class. You would remove them and then add the other student in again. So they can, you have to remove both the kids or the one that selected on the wrong name and get them re-added in. So then sorry.
Okay, hang on. She's asking another question. Come on up, Cindy.
So say you have to choose from your name and a child gets on somebody else's name. Or if they want to be Snoopy and get on somebody else's name, say their friend, can they get on their work and do work on their account?
No, you can only select, only one student can select the name.
Okay, so if they pick So a Lily picks another Lily, they can't get onto that other Lily's account.
The only way they can do that is if at the very beginning, so Lily Kelly, right? She's logging in for the first time. Lily Panda has not logged in yet. Lily Kelly, instead of selecting her name, the fish, she selects the panda instead, but it's the wrong Lily. What you would have to do is delete the Lily Panda and then just re-add her in the add students. And then it would kind of basically default it back out.
So, younger grades, say first grade, would it be better just to have them only able to pick out their name only, rather than choose?
That's that, Lisa, we both talk about it. That's totally preference. Me personally, as an educator, I would do the individualized ones. It adds a little bit more work because now you're having, you know, multiple codes. And it also depends the setting that you're doing it in. If you're sending these home and having the parents get these kids logged onto Seesaw, then go ahead and send the personal ones home, because either way they have to enter the code in anyways. If you're doing it in class, it may be easier for everyone just to have one code, because then you can kind of go through and say, okay, everyone's going to enter in these letters right now. The other thing, the workaround with that is you would print them out and put them on the student desk, and then each student would just scan their own code to avoid. And like I said, the amazing thing about platforms is you have options. You just have to decide between those two what option is going to work best for you in class.
Yeah, great point, Holly. And you guys might not know exactly what option is going to work best for you right now. It's a learning experience. You know, think back to even last year as you taught, or during remote learning. Are there things you're going to change based on remote learning of how you did it in April, May, and how you're going to start off with remote learning here in August? And most of you will probably say yes. So it's just learning. You're learning through this as well. So again, remember to breathe out there, and it will, you know, this time next year, you'll think, oh, this is so easy. Or again, you'll, oh, go ahead.
So I just want to make sure that we've got this right. So every time a kid would accidentally click on someone else's name, you have to go in and delete?
No, they won't be able to access anybody else's name. The only time that they are clicking on a name is when they first log in with that code. When they're first joining your class. Once they're joined in the class, they can't switch to anybody else's name.
Oh, so they don't pick their name every time they log in?
No, yeah.
Oh, that's just for the initial setup. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great question. And yeah, we love questions, so keep asking them.
That name picking is only one time for your class, just once. It's just to get that kid in your classroom. And then once he's in or she's in, they're in.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Holly. All right, so does that make your life a lot easier now, knowing that they only have to pick it one time here?
I'm going to unshare my screen, Lisa, so you can share yours again.
Okay.
I have a meowing cat in the background.
Okay. Adding some sound here for us.
We have ambiance in the background here. Do you guys have any questions at this point before we keep, you know, continue with some of the stuff that is just general or that you really can't figure out yet?
Okay, I have a quick question. And you may have said this and I just didn't catch it. Now, with the home learning codes, the kids can access just their account and they shouldn't be able to see any other students' work, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Okay.
Okay. is there a way that you can do some of them as home learning where kids can only see what they are supposed to do, but also have different activities where they can collaborate with all of the students in the class? Because there may be times when you only want the student to show their work and no other students can see it, whereas there might be more group collaboratives where you might want to show other students drawings, writings, etc.
Lisa, do you want to tackle this? I got it if you want, but it's up to you.
Yeah, no, you go for it.
Okay, Lisa, go ahead. I'm going to share my screen.
Yep.
That is an amazing question. And it is one of the dilemmas. And I was kind of talking about this before. Okay. So feel free to put your volume on and interject here. So the question is, I'm going to shut this door. Sorry. My dog is now barking. I have Animal Farm over here. So the question is, I hear it is about posting student work. And can you post some work and not all work? And can you kind of pick and choose what assignments? Is that correct, Trent?
Yes.
Okay. So sorry. What is your first name?
Danny?
Annie?
Danny.
Danny. Okay. So Danny, there's one workaround. So one of the things with Seesaw is if you go up, if you're on your computer right now, if you go to settings, which is the wrench in the top right corner, and you go to, let's see, right here, students can see each other's work, right? If that is highlighted on, then anything a student posts goes to the journal. You cannot pick and choose. It's either all or nothing. So I'll repeat that. At the wrench, scroll down to students. Students can see each other's work. All students' work will be posted here. You can't just turn on and turn off. It will send everything back up to the journal. The one workaround, which that's one of the flaws for me. The workaround with that is the blog. So I can show you the blog, but I want to make sure I answer this first. If we toggle this off, it'll have me sign out, which I don't want to do right now. But if you toggle that off, when you post work and a student pulls up their view, they only see their work. It's only their journal. If this is toggled on, when a student gets into Seesaw on the journal, they will see their classmates. The pros and cons of that are as follows. If you have students at different levels and it's a very competitive class, that can be good or bad for natural reasons. If you have that toggled off and students can't see each other's work, it really takes away from that feature from students being able to comment and like, right? I think that's natural. So I can show you the blog on the workaround, but I just want to make sure I answer the questions for that.
So they had a question about that. What about confidentiality?
Yeah, there's that. So the way that this is being looked at with remote learning is that if you were in the classroom and Johnny is sitting next to Sally, Johnny can view Sally's work. But because you're not posting quizzes or graded assignments, it kind of is a workaround with that confidentiality. Lisa, you may differ from me, and this is what's amazing about the two of us is we usually differ in schools of thought sometimes. Holly's take as an educator is I would have that off because I am hyper paranoid, and I think with the library media specialist background with a lot of legality, I would turn that off, and I would then do a blog because I would be afraid as a teacher that Sally is really struggling and she will not turn this assignment in because she does not want to have the other students in her class see her work, because she knows even in first grade that she's not doing what Maria is doing or as good. So it has that compare. Some schools think, well, that competition is natural and it's good to keep pushing kids. And it's good for them to collaborate like that. So once again, we talk about those options, and this is an option. It's a preference. Either you have students be able to see all the student posted work or you don't. And for me, if you choose don't, there is a workaround. So students can still see and collaborate with their peers' work, and that is the blog. So there's kind of an answer to that. Did that, yeah.
Do you think they would ever consider, like, I think it would be nice if you could do it per assignment. Like if you wanted an assignment to be seen, you could click on share students' work instead of for the whole class.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think this is one, Seesaw, I'm a huge fan of Seesaw. Truly, I'm an advocate of it. I actually like Seesaw more than Google Classroom. I had a senior who did a Seesaw last year and put all of her art portfolio in Seesaw with commentary. I mean, it was prolific. It was amazing. And it was this, what I view as this elementary level, and it so is not. But with that, Seesaw is growing and it keeps on growing. And I think it's going to keep adapting with Google Classroom. And where the strides have been made with Seesaw, I think they're going to keep doing that. And one of the complaints is this section is that it's either all or nothing. Either you post all the student work or the students do not collaborate on their journal with student work. And with that being said, their schools have also set boundaries with their teachers that if a student posts work, does a teacher have to like everything the student posts? So that's a conversation to kind of have with your team on how you guys want to go about when a student's posting their own work. That's not an assignment. What other questions do you have about this section?
I'm going to interject here while you're thinking of some other questions here. Kind of like Holly said, how sometimes we have different viewpoints on this. If you think about it, Seesaw first was created for the classroom teacher, for students to use in class. So now that we've gone remote, Seesaw is, we don't have the kids face to face, that they are implementing different settings out there for us. So, if you think about it with some of your students, sometimes the older the kid, they'll ask you when they're completing an assignment, okay, or he's all seeing this assignment. Is it going to be other students or is it just you? Sometimes, again, when we were face to face, sharing some of the things that they were doing in class and for the other kids to see, it was fine to do that. Because then if they knew other kids were going to see it and just not the teacher, then they may spend a little bit extra time to do quality work. Whereas if it was just the teacher seeing it, they're just going to do the checklist, look at the rubric, and do the bare minimal. Now that we've gone to remote learning, or when we went to remote learning in March, Seesaw, that's when they implemented the home learning codes. That automatically created it where the kids couldn't see each other's work because they weren't collaborating right inside the classroom. And they were using Seesaw as almost a learning management system similar to Google Classroom. Whereas before, Seesaw they would just use at times to do some assignments. It wasn't their whole curriculum. What you guys are looking at right now is using Seesaw as much as possible during remote learning. So the kids, you don't want all of your activities out there for each kid to see. So that's why with the home learning codes, it's set up where the kids can't see each other's work because you're using Seesaw in a different way with remote learning than you do face-to-face. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's one thing I was going to talk about in settings, which they just covered, is since I am an admin, in your settings, you can turn it off as an individual teacher or in your classes. I can turn it off for everybody. So that's something that we will talk about as we're moving through, if we want to leave that on or shut it off. So
Do you guys,
Trent,
Trent,
the camera.
Sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, I was just going to tell Trent the camera got moved.
Did it? Okay.
There we go. Perfect, thanks. Go ahead, Holly.
Trent, do they want me to show them the workaround that if as a school you guys turn off that ability to see each other's work, the workaround for creating a blog?
That might be helpful for them.
Okay.
I'd leave it up to them. You guys want to see how you would do a blog? If I shut off you guys need to know how to do a blog? How do I? So yeah, if you can give us a thing about blog and then.
Okay, Lisa, do you want me to go ahead and do that part?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead, Holly.
So in settings with your here, so like I said, just for reiteration, I would use the blog to simplify things. I would use the blog option if your school or you're turning off that feature to share student work. So like if you're writing notes, I would put the note down. If I'm not sharing student work, add blog. If I'm sharing student work, don't add blog. Because then it's just an extra feature that the kids have two places. So a blog is really nice if you're having a showcase, if you're wanting to show parents what your class is doing, not just a student. If you're showing something to the community, a blog is really quite nice. It's also nice because students can also see other student work, which is amazing if that feature of turning off student work is toggled off. So in my settings, and if you're looking at your screen as well, when I scroll down, I'm going to see class blog. So there is the opportunity to enable class blog or disable. I am enabled, it's green. Okay, so if it's green, that means my class blog is an option. If it's red, that's not, I mean, if it's toggled off, then no one can use the class blog. So students can post to blog. Up here, when you scroll up in settings while we're here, there is this right here. New items require approval. I would 100% have that on. Lisa, thumbs up. Would you have that on as well? Yeah. What this does is every time a student wants to post to their journal or their blog, it needs your approval. And what that prevents is if Johnny has a great sense of humor and he is quite the artist and he decides to get really descriptive in the anatomy of the human body, that just doesn't get posted to the blog or his journal, where his parent, if that feature's clicked on, the parent can't see it, or other students. So basically you have that opportunity of declining it or accepting that through a notification. So new items require approval. I would go ahead and have that on. So let's go back to the blog. Is there a question about that at all? So far, we good? Okay. Go back to class blog. So you're just going to scroll down. Again, I got here by going to the wrench and just scrolling down. So here we have a few different options. We have blog settings, blog appearance, view blog, and connected blogs, which means you can connect them to other classes. So blog settings, and for those of you who don't blog, I'm not a huge blogger. It's basically just a URL. It's like a website. So if we click on blog settings, show folders on class blog, enable comments on class blog, which the comments also need to require approval. This feature is incredibly nice if you do not have students sharing the ability to share student work. They can then comment on each other. This makes an amazing lesson for students on how to ethically comment on other student work, and also that quote unquote social media, the appropriateness of comments, how to comment, what kind of questions to ask. And it kind of sets for the littles a really nice habit then when they're in their teenage years on what to comment, how to comment. And it's that teaching that we're doing with social media. So enable comments on class blog, which means students can comment on other student work. Password protected class blog. That means if your link, your URL goes to New Jersey, someone in New Jersey finds your URL and they want to view your student work on the class blog, they can't view it because it's password protected. For confidentiality and just Privacy Act, I would have that checked on, meaning that you need a password. And your password can be very simple, and I can go through that. Here you would view password, which mine is yes 2020. Even though we're all feeling no 2020, but I went with the positive yes 2020. And we can also change the password, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and go back. And like I said, I'm gonna show you the blog here in a second. Here we go. And then here's blog appearance. So I've created a blog for this class. I named it Yes 2020. My blog URL is Yes 2020. So here is my URL, https /blog. If you want, if you're in front of a computer, go ahead and try to type that in. https //blog.seesaw.me/yes 2020. And then the blog description, a group of awesomeness in one place. So then you can also include the blog header image. And this is from the Lego, everything is awesome. Sorry, I felt like I had to sing it. It wasn't the same if I just said it. So if I go back, that's where you create your class blog. And then I'm gonna open my blog. And it's going, it's scrolling up here. And here's my class blog for this class. So now students can post their work to the blog. They have a place where they can see their friends' work, but you just have to approve it. And then also, it also allows the student to approve that they want this work shared. So little Jenny, who may be, you know, not moving as fast with a reading or writing assignment, but she's really proud of it. And she's like, okay, I want to post this. She now has the autonomy, even at 7 years old, to say, okay, you know, I want this up there for my classmates to see. So this right here is the class blog. Right here, Lily had posted this. It's just a drawing that she did with her name, and she tried to make it in the letters of her letters into buildings or inanimate objects. And then she added these lights, and then she didn't want to speak. So then I embedded a video over it, just basically talking about this assignment. So this was added to the blog. And then I was able to write, I love the creative approach to likes or to lights. I can like it, I can comment. And then I can also share the item. So get connected, you can get a QR code also. And then here's another assignment that she's posted that there's no comments on. And then you can also see who's a member of this blog, right? So it would be the class. So now if I go back, are there any questions right now, which I may keep answering, but I'll answer anything right now. No, okay. So if I go to Lily, you'll see here how Lily has notifications. See how the 2 and the 4, 2 plus 4 is 6. That's why by her name, there's 6 notifications. That's what every student will receive if I add an assignment or I send an announcement. Announcements go to your inbox, assignments go to your activities or assign an activity. So if I go to blog, you'll see it here is just the same. So as a teacher, I could get all my kids and say, okay, how about you guys go on our class blog by clicking the globe? And why don't you make one comment on another student's work while we're getting ready and while we're waiting for people to join the class. If you're virtual, you can do it that way. If I go to journal, and I think that, oh, this was my video I made the other day about a reminder about class masks. If I want to add this to my blog right here, Lily, and remember I'm on student view, I would hit the globe, publish this item to the blog. So I, Lily, can publish this. So if I go publish to my blog, this is going to come up, waiting for teacher approval. So now I'm going to go back to the teacher view. This Zoom thing is just getting in my way. And then I'm going to refresh my page. And now see, look, I have a notification. And then down here, I have one unapproved post. You may have 30 unapproved posts. What you can do, you do not need to go through them individually. You just have to scroll through them. So I would be able right here to scroll through all of the ones that the kids want posted, and then go ahead and click approve all. And now when I go to blog, Lily's work is on the blog. This is the workaround for having students being able to share student work. As a teacher, you also can add to that blog of student work. It just allows that boundary or that filter where not everything is just going to the journal. It is an extra feature that's there. I, as a teacher, an educator, I would turn off that notification to have all student work posted to journal. So then when the journal pulls up, only that student sees their work unless they want to go to the blog and see their, if you say, hey, this weekend, post something to our blog about what you did this weekend. And then on Monday morning, all of your kids can kind of see something creative, what we did over the weekend. It's just a great place. Are there any questions about that? I'm sure there may be some. I don't think there's any questions.
Yeah, you did a great job, Holly, explaining that. So do you see why the importance of the blog is then? This is where the students can go ahead and then post and share things, and they get to pick and choose, especially during this time of remote learning. So not everything is shown out there in the journal for all kids to see. So, I mean, even out of this remote learning, I think once we are back face-to-face, I think a lot of teachers will start using Seesaw differently than how Seesaw originally thought Seesaw would use in the classroom. So it's constantly changing, and they're pushing out updates. And I think if not all of the updates are pushed out now, they will be here in August. And if you go and Google some Seesaw updates, you can see some of the latest updates that Seesaw is or will be pushing out.
Lisa, I don't know, Trent, I don't know if your teachers, I don't know, Lisa, maybe you can help too. This inbox, if we continue on, this inbox right here, I don't know if this was mentioned last time, I don't remember. It is important to mention with Seesaw that a teacher cannot communicate through message to a student, but a teacher and a parent can go back and forth through communication through Seesaw, which is amazing because now you're not having to hypothetically go to Skyward to contact a teacher or go to your Gmail, or I'm sorry, to contact a guardian or parent, or having to go to Gmail to contact a guardian or parent. The one thing though you do have to do is when you go to families, again, there's a number of ways of getting here, but when you click family, you can invite, so here's the students in my class. We have Lily, LTC, Ryan, and Lily, the panda. You do need the parent's phone number or email. So that is the work that you need to do for that. But once you invite a parent in settings, you do have that option of parents being able to see their student's journal. And that is such an amazing feature as a mom or dad or guardian. For the people out there who are parents or have nieces or nephews, to be able to go on and be able to like and comment on your child's work it's amazing because by the time Lily comes home every day, I'm pretty much capped out. And you know, how was your day? You know, and then in mom mode, I'm ready to do laundry, feed my children, make sure they're clean and hygiene, and get ready for the next day. So when I have a mental break, it would be really amazing for me as a mom to be able to go on and like and comment on my child's work, and you would do it here, right? This is where all of those options are. So with that being said, the one language feature here is when you invite families to Seesaw. Up here, so right here, I'm connected, right? Because you could see right here, Lily Kelly is my legit daughter, and here is my actual email, and I am connected to her Seesaw account, right? Because Lily actually uses Seesaw just because she thinks it's fun. If I print invites to parents, this is one of the amazing features of Seesaw. It's in over 10 languages. You can actually print the invite in more than just English. So if I needed it to be in Spanish, I could do that. And then I would click print invite. This is nice to send home via mail, download, email, or in a student's folder. These are directions for you. And here, right here, is Lily's parents' invite, which the family app is Seesaw Families. Is that right, Lisa? It's Seesaw Family.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, if it's on slide, if they want to look at the family app, it's starting with slide 82.
And then the teacher would be able to, our parent would be able to view their child Seesaw through here. And right there, Lily's LTC, because that's her name, family invite.
And what's nice,
you'll see all of them listed here. See how that's the whole class? There's Ryan's, there's Lily's, there's Lily Kelly's. So, and then this is basically just the directions for a teacher.
and what's
Go ahead,
nice
Lisa,
about,
I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. What's nice about the family app, then also, even if you have family members that don't live in the same town as you, you can have up to 10 family members join the family app. So, you know, if there's a grandma or grandpa who wants to see what their grandchild is doing, you can do that. Or if there's a mom and a stepdad, or whatever the situation is, if there's multiple family members, you can have up to 10 family members. So
I have a question. This is Trent. So one thing that we're noticing are the codes, the home learning code, and then the other class code. They're only good for so long, correct?
yeah, but they only need them that one time to sign in. Once they're signed in, they don't need the codes anymore. That's just that for the initial sign in.
But see, the one thing that's going to be a challenge for us is our kids are not, like, they're all remote. So getting them on, hopefully at the same time, we can get most of them on. But I think a lot of it's going to be that first week, just getting them all signed on could be a challenge.
So yeah, where Holly is right now, you want to make sure you either download the codes or print the codes, so that I would suggest, since you guys are totally fully remote here in the beginning, that you do the home learning codes. Because what's nice about that, then on the back end, all of the settings, then if the students join from the home learning codes, all of the settings are already where the kids can't see each other's work.
So how long are the home learning codes? Are those just one day as well? Just one day, right?
No, you can use those, because remember, Trent, those are personalized. So a student cannot get into another student's account unless, like, a student were to take it off a desk. But in your case, you're all remote. So Holly, the teacher, I'm going to send Lisa and Trent their own home learning code. It doesn't expire the same way those QR and those immediate class codes work. So yeah, to answer that question earlier, should you do home learning code or the class code? If you're all remote, I would 100% do the home learning individualized code, print them all out, and either email them or mail them.
I agree. Now that we know that, I got them confused. Yes, so we want to use those because they last longer.
Remember, the whole idea of a home learning code is because the students are home. So if you're doing remote, then I would do the home learning code as a way to kind of differentiate between the two for ease. So something.
As long as they're good for you. So then, that was the only thing I had. So those are the way to do it if we want them the best way. The other codes, I think, Nicole's collecting. So those codes will work too. As we just said, those are good, I think, for how long? A year? They're good for a year.
Those class codes are really good for when you actually have kids physically in front of you. That's why it's called a class code. Like they're in person and you're the teacher. You can project that class code up on your whiteboard and be there to facilitate. But if you're not there to necessarily facilitate, then I would go ahead and do the home learning code.
Okay. That
You
makes
guys,
sense.
what other questions are some of you kind of pondering? I'm sure if one of you has it, there's someone else, it'll come up somewhere where someone else is feeling the same way, I find.
One thing I want to say to everyone is, like, as far as class lists, Leslie or our administrative assistants in the office are going to upload your classes into Seesaw. Okay. If you've got some in there, then they'll check and make sure. But yeah. Any other questions? Anyone need anything else answered? The one thing I want to say is I think in settings, as far as there'll be some things that we can control from our side. I want to make sure, did everyone, I know that everyone received the email that I sent, but one person, I think, that I sent out as a reminder. So that's good. That's all I had there. Any other questions? I think if you want to go on to something else, it sounds like they're ready to move on to something else. Does anyone feel uncomfortable? You feel okay? I mean, everyone, it's the beginning of the school year. One thing I would do, this is just a suggestion, I would work with some of your team members and see what it looks like. I'm being honest, is assign them different things and see what happens.
I would feel more comfortable. I could have like a printout of like the beginning stages of Seesaw all the way through. I mean,
YouTube it, there's all kinds of videos.
If you go to Seesaw in YouTube, they've got all their videos on there.
You can stop it at any time.
I don't know why I was just thinking that. That's like, I'm kind of shocked.
And then there's other teacher resources too. If you're clicking, there's other teacher things you can print out as well on the website.
And Trent, didn't you give them copies of the icon shortcuts last time?
Yes.
Okay, and then the getting started guides, didn't you print those off as well?
Yeah.
You still have those, Trent? Because she wasn't here last time.
Yeah, I'll send them out.
Thank you very much.
No, I didn't, you didn't give me one of those.
I'm not worried.
You want me to go make some copies?
This one?
Yeah.
Just one of those.
Just
Let me
one?
see if- Does anyone have their getting started guide here with them?
Weren't those grade specific?
If not, Trent, you can refer to
I
have
can-
it in a couple different places on the slide deck. You can
How many
refer them
the
to
icon take?
other resources here. They could go to it right now, even if they don't have a paper copy. It's here, slide 97. Oh, I forgot, I'm not sharing my screen. Here, I'm pointing to it. But that's fine if they go to slide 97.
Set out the getting started, and it has them broken out by grade level.
That's fabulous. Thank you very much.
Trent, I have a question. You sent the school announcement.
Lisa, I'm gonna show them this for like the beginning activities for kids. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine. You might, yeah, we'll wait. I think Trent's talking
Yeah, absolutely.
to them, but yeah. And then if you want, before you show them that, if you want to show them the slide deck, slide number 97.
Oh, okay. Let me get back on there.
Because when I was talking there, I was pointing to it and then I realized, oh, my screen's not being shared.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Let me see if I can pull.
I think they're busy working, interacting.
Yeah. What slide was it? 97?
Well, there's a couple different slides. It's towards the top too. I don't know if it's like 6 or 7. It's the one called Other Resources.
No.
Maybe, yeah. I thought I put it up there. Okay, 14.
Right here.
Yeah. So last time in July, what Trent did, he printed off the getting started guides for the teachers, but you know, some of the teachers who weren't here in July, they could just go to that link there, the first one, the getting started guide, or they can even go to the
Is that in today's presentation, Lisa?
I'm what? I'm sorry, what?
Is that slide, that's in today's presentation as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What slide number is that?
Slide 14 and 97. I've got it 2 different places.
Slide 14.
14.
And the very top one is getting started. Seesaw, can click on it. All the getting started guides by grade level.
And as teachers are working there, Trent, could we have, if one of the teachers feels comfortable talking, and if they do, if they could come up close to the computer, but could they explain their journey about the Seesaw Pioneer, and if they would recommend that for their fellow teachers?
Would someone that's went through the Seesaw Pioneer, would you be willing to come up and talk about your journey through that? One of you, please.
Or, you know, if they don't want to talk about it, do you think, can they answer some of these questions? Do they think that it helped them feel a little bit more comfortable with using Seesaw? You know, any pros or cons to that?
Anyone, share out.
I will comment. I went through the Pioneer and I actually, I hate to say this in front of you guys, I feel like I learned more just watching YouTube videos where I had this playing on my phone, and then I was on my Seesaw account on my computer, and I could stop them and do something and, you know, watch it or, you know, rewind it a little bit if I missed something. That's where I've learned most of the things I've been doing on Seesaw is just YouTube videos. You know, I went through that, and then they asked you questions that you had to answer. And sometimes I felt like they didn't even cover some of the questions that were answered or asked. I just kind of guessed, or I learned it from the first training. So I'm sure I probably did learn some things, but honestly, I think I've learned more on YouTube.
Yeah.
No.
To comment on that, I'm right there with you actually. I think the difference between this kind of like group setting and YouTube is with YouTube, there's a million videos and there's one person who's searching those videos. So it's very formalized in the sense that if I saw something like, how do I add students in Seesaw? I can type that into YouTube and like you said, you can pause your video, you can go back, you can do it. It's your own time base. And I think that is what's going to work for you guys is just getting all of this information from different angles, because it just brings up different things for you. And what works for one person is totally different. There's going to be someone in the crowd, which is not me, who literally will go through Lisa's slide deck slide by slide. That is like, I don't even, oh, that's like misery for me. I don't enjoy learning that way, but there's other people that do. And then it just depends what kind of learners we are. I think what that really speaks to with what you said is that it really goes to show us how many different approaches there are to teaching and how many ways there are to learning and how we can empathize with our students. Because you guys are all in this very special place right now that you're being forced to learn something new. And our students are in those places every single day. So while we're like brain fried after 2 hours, that's where our kids are feeling. So yeah, I totally am right there with you. I think that I do hope that, you know, something triggers and something that Lisa and I say that you can say, okay, let me go look at that. Let me go YouTube it. For example, the blog, let me go research how to actually now do the blog in a different format. So yeah, I think that what you have to say is really valuable, and I also empathize with that. I'm right there with you.
I think on that, Holly, I think that like I'm the same way. I like to play with it and have hands-on so I can learn it. That's, you know, and I've had a couple today, staff teachers that were already said they learned a lot just today by trying it out as we've been going through it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, you got to walk those hallways. You know, you just have to play with it. You have to, you just got to be, the more you get into that, the more you become familiar with it. I mean, I've been in Seesaw for 2 weeks now, and I feel like I'm getting pretty good with it, where I'm like, okay, like I get this. And it's because of YouTube videos. It's because of watching Lisa teach you guys last week. It's going through partial parts of the slide deck. You know, like I said, I can't do all of it, but yeah, so, you know, as long as we all get there, which you will, you know, I believe that you guys can, and I think you're going to really like Seesaw. I think your kids are going to really like it. Be prepared, teachers, for the littles. Be prepared. The number one thing your kids are going to want and all care about when they get into Seesaw is their icon. They are going to want to change the icons and choose the icons. So be ready for that, because it's pretty silly that here we are doing all of this work and then, you know, the kids, all they care about is the icon.
Holly says the littles. I found working with adults, the adults want to change the icon too. So no matter what the age is, and that's what you have to remember when you're teaching remotely too. Think about how you learn. And that, you know, sitting there for an hour or 2 hours, that's way too much. And if at any time you can send out videos or recordings, take, you know, recordings of your screen and share that out with the kids so that they have it available to them when they can work on it. Because some of the students might not be able to work on some of this work until their parents get home of an evening. Some of them may not even have parents there to help them. So if you can help them as much as possible. So I know some of the teams of teachers have already talked about which teacher is going to do screencast or recordings of certain things to share out to the kids. Because again, if you're thinking about this, you have to create all of this material. So again, don't panic, help each other, you know, use your tribe that you have around you to help you disseminate this information out to the students and have it readily available to them when they need to learn it.
Just so you guys know, before we depart, I know that there's a evaluation piece at the end. Just so you know, like I said earlier, your traditional first 2 weeks of school, you're not just going to be doing those get to know you warm-ups that first day, second day, and then getting into curriculum. Your curriculum, which Trent, I think that you could probably agree with me, your curriculum the first 2 weeks of school is now tech curriculum, in the sense that you're just teaching your students new technology, and that in itself is amazing. I mean, it is such there's a lot of negative going on, and I don't deflate any of that. but being able to teach these kids new platforms that are educational, that kids are going to have fun on, that's just not gaming. It is quite a powerful tool, and you guys have the ability to do that. And you're really being the facilitators of that. And with that being said, if you go to your community, and how I did this is I just went to your browse activity library. On your community, if you type in Seesaw at the very top, now my grade is level 2, so second grade. This will customize depending on what grade you're teaching. You can see how you can create activities on how kids can learn with Seesaw. So learning to use Seesaw, this could be an activity your first week or your first day. There's multiple different things that you can do that you're not just having to create videos and assignments and lessons on how to do it. They're already out there for you. Seesaw, if you become a pioneer, so I would highly recommend all of you becoming pioneers. It's like 45 minutes. For those of you, I loved Pioneer. I was really able to pause and then go in and do what they were saying. So it took me about an hour and a half to 2 hours to go through the training of it. But when you're done with the Pioneer, you enter into the Pioneer community, which then it opens up a whole new set of information that is out there for Pioneer. And the one strongest thing with Pioneer is you are so supported by its community. If you have questions, you can pose questions to Pioneer. I just hit that question mark. So right here, I can ask a Seesaw representative right here what to do. And then it sends you to common links and so forth. And that's available on the pages. So that's just something to think about when starting your first few days of school. Also in the assignments, getting to know you. Here's a bunch of getting to know you activities just to do the first few days of school. So that's something else that you guys can do as well. There's just a ton of assignments and activities. And Trent, Lisa, I'll let you take over here. But Trent, the other thing too is I know you said you have some Google Classroom stuff going on. Lisa, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. You have some Google Classroom. So if anyone's needing help with that, or Trent outside of this community of teachers in this room, if you guys need help with Classroom, just reach out. I'm here to help your community. If you guys have questions, email me. Once I get my number updated, you can text me. I'm here for you. This is my job to support you guys. So I'm happy to do it.
Perfect. Yes, you'll be hearing from us for sure as we move forward on that. I think one of the biggest things is, we are going remote, and it's just like being, I'm going to say it, it's just like being face-to-face, except it's going to be the first 2 weeks we're setting the expectations for what it's like in technology world. And that's what it's going to be. When we were in school, face-to-face, we had to do the same thing. Teach them how to do everything. How to walk down the hallway, how to, talk, how to be respectful, all those things. So we're doing the same thing and showing them how to use everything, but we're in just a little bit different situation. We're remote, but I know we can do this. I really like the fact that Seesaw has a lot of the activities already developed, and just taking our time is the big thing in getting through this. You're not only going to be teaching the children about Seesaw, just remember their parents are going to want to learn about it too. So there are some fabulous, with the parents, there's apps out there for parents to use on their phones, as well as logging on just a regular laptop or Chromebook. So it's all about us taking our time and clarifying how and working together, support each other. I really love how we support each other, ask questions. There's not a wrong question. It's how we learn and how we grow together. So as a big family. And that's the one thing that's very important, just supporting each other. I learn something every day, and it's okay. I learn stuff just by trying it out. So that's the main thing. Anyone else have any feedback? I have nothing to add. Lisa, do you have anything you want to add on?
No.
I think there was a hand raise in the back there. I'm not sure if I actually saw that.
Did someone have their hand up?
Maybe not.
Nope,
Okay, sorry about that.
nope. Do you have an evaluation, Lisa, you need them to fill out on a slide?
Yeah, and I just looked, some people already filled it out already. It's on slide 99.
Slide 99. The other thing is, I have an evaluation. I think
the second one.
the top page is yours to keep with your CPDUs. If you would please fill out Lisa's slide 99 and then fill out the second page and leave it on the tables or bring them up to me. And the top page is yours to keep.
The biggest thing is to remember is that this is a learning process, guys. Don't beat yourself up over not knowing everything right in the beginning. As you go, as the kids are asking questions, you'll learn.
The one thing that I'm probably going to do that I recommend right now until we get comfortable with it, and until we get using it, I'm probably going to shut off right now the children being able to see each other's work. Just until we get comfortable, until our parents understand the platform, because I don't want to get, as I'm going to say, sometimes on social media we can get blasted. So I want everyone to feel comfortable with Seesaw before we turn that back on. If you agree with that, raise your hand. You're okay with that? Yeah. For right now, I'm going to calm everyone down. We're going to shut that one off. I think everyone would agree we're okay with that right now. Especially until we get used and set the expectation of how to use it with our students so they know how to comment. That's what we're going to do. And it's got to be I always say this, they need to be good citizens, they need to be respectful, and before you can do something like that, they got to understand what it looks like to even comment. And a lot of times I say sometimes a comment can be a thumbs up, like a, there's all you need to do is a comment. So I'm going to shut that piece off.
Hey, Trent.
Yes.
One thing, it's Holly here again. One thing that you just said about having students be good citizens, that's definitely something that you can talk to your kids about when that gets to that place about commenting. It can be a great lesson for kids. I will mention this. If you have, just as a tidbit, if you have the ability to have parents see student work, and you set an assignment, and in Lisa's slide deck on slide 14, there's an extension there. It's Reflect in Seesaw. You can annotate documents. Please make sure you are mindful of copyright. My library science background always makes me go to copyright. And it's not a really big issue when your kids are in the classroom and they're 7 years old. But if you're having students and you're having their parents see their work, you may have a parent out there who, we all will probably have one at some point, who may bring up that issue of copyright. So just be careful on what you're sharing if you're pulling from outside of Seesaw, not within a Seesaw activities. Does that help at all?
Yeah. What was the extension you said to add?
So there's two really good extensions on slide 14. It's called Reflect in Seesaw. And then I'm going to put another one in here. It's called Wakelet. I just discovered this one. Wakelet, if you have teams of teachers, so for example, you have 3 second grade teachers. What Wakelet will do is it links right with Seesaw so you can share all of your assignments. So say all of your second grade teachers want to push out the same art class or the same science assignment or the same getting to know you assignment. You can share all of your assignments in that Wakelet extension, and then the teachers can copy and paste them into their assignments. So we're not having to do all the work on our own. The other extension to annotate is called Reflect in Seesaw. And that's that annotating piece where teachers can annotate documents and students can as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem.
As soon as we get, I know Lisa will share the recording and I'll push the recording out. I will share out those startup with